Today I will tell you about the film The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. What do you mean they won't let you out? Why? What did you do? I'm Jewish. Bruno lives in Berlin with his parents and his sister Gretel. While he's happily playing with his friends, an important reception is being prepared at his house. Bruno's father Ralph has been promoted, but because of this, the whole family will have to move to another part of the country. When Bruno runs home, his sister already knows about the upcoming changes, and together the whole family breaks the news to Bruno. He doesn't want to leave his home, he likes it here. He has friends here, but there's nothing he can do. His father is a soldier, and he has to follow orders, especially now, when the war is in full swing. In the evening, many important people in uniform gather at their house. They salute Ralph as he enters the living room. Ralph's parents are also there. However, his mother is not as enthusiastic about her son's promotion as his father is. Ralph asks his mother not to voice her anti-Nazi opinions, otherwise the whole family could be punished. Finally, all the belongings are packed. Bruno says goodbye to his beloved home, to his friends, and leaves. He is brought to a large brick house in the woods, which looks a bit eerie. The house is surrounded by a tall fence, guarded by soldiers with dogs. Bruno doesn't like it here, but he promises to get used to it. The window in his room looks out into the forest. In the distance, Bruno sees several buildings beyond the fence. The boy thinks it's a farm where people grow vegetables and raise livestock. But for some reason, all the farmers are wearing striped pajamas. And this is something Bruno cannot understand. Bruno tries to find out more about these people from his mother, but she doesn't immediately understand what her son is talking about. When she looks out the window in her son's room herself, she tells him that strange people live there, and it's better not to go to them. But Bruno saw children there, and he wants to make new friends. Because of this prohibition, Bruno has to spend his days sitting at home. He is not allowed to go into the backyard. In his room, he can only play checkers by himself, and there's nothing to do at all in the area in front of the house. When the whole family is having lunch, Ralph announces that the children no longer need to attend school. He has hired a tutor for them. Bruno doesn't mind, since he has never studied at home before. After lunch, he lies under a tree and realizes that one of the branches would make a good spot for a swing. Bruno goes to ask his father's driver, Lieutenant Kotler, for a tire. Bruno's 12-year-old sister has a crush on him. Kotler calls over Pavel, a Jew who peels potatoes, takes care of the grounds, and does other dirty work. He orders him to give the boy a tire. The way the lieutenant treats Pavel makes Bruno uneasy. Pavel gives Bruno the tire, and they make a swing out of it. While the boy is swinging on it, he sees smoke rising from the farm. He stands on the tire to get a better look at what they're burning over there, but falls and scrapes his knee. Pavel comes to help. He carries Bruno into the house, then cleans and bandages the scrape. They start chatting, and Pavel tells him that he used to be a doctor and had his own practice. Bruno, on the other hand, is puzzled as to why a doctor would change his job and end up peeling potatoes for his father. Is it nice on the farm? When she finds out that Pavel helped Bruno, his mother overcomes herself and thanks the old Jew for his help. Finally, the tutor arrives. He has a conversation with Bruno and Gretel and finds out that Bruno only reads adventure books. He gives him a propaganda book on modern history. The children of a Nazi officer must receive the appropriate education, and the tutor is here for that purpose. However, Bruno did not care for this kind of reading. He noticed that the gate to the backyard was open and decided to run away. There was a window in the shed, which the boy easily crawled through. He ran through the forest, then across a stream, and found himself at a fence covered with barbed wire. On the other side of the fence sat a boy in striped pajamas with a number on his chest. The boys introduced themselves. Bruno's new acquaintance is named Shmuel. Bruno asked Shmuel about the place where he lives, but Shmuel himself knows little about it. He only knows that you can't get out of here, that they are constantly forced to work and are barely fed. From time to time, he runs away to the fence to get a break from the hard work and the cruel soldiers. However, a whistle sounded and Shmuel had to run back. All the prisoners were gathered in the barracks. At home, Bruno stole a chocolate bar to feed Shmuel. When he came to the fence, his new friend wasn't there. Bruno started throwing anything he could find over the fence, and one piece of metal got caught on the wire. It turned out that the fence was electrified. Bruno decided that it was to keep the animals they were raising on the farm from escaping. That day, Shmuel never showed up. Bruno didn't like the propaganda that the tutor was teaching, but his sister, on the other hand, took it all very much to heart. She threw away her dolls and decorated the walls of her room with posters of the Führer and Nazi slogans. When Bruno's mother went to the city, he took the opportunity to go see Shmuel. He asked the boy about the pipes that periodically emitted smoke and a strong stench. Shmuel said that they supposedly burned dirty rags there. Ralph's relationship with his mother completely deteriorated because of his new assignment. However, Ralph's father supports his son and is happy to come visit. Meanwhile, the tutor explains to Bruno that Jews are true evil and that it is against them that the German people are now fighting. It's hard for Bruno to believe this, but if an adult says so, then it must be true. He once again snuck some treats from the kitchen to feed Shmuel. Bruno brought a ball with him to play, but the boy refused. He is afraid that the camp guards will notice them. Bruno's mother had just returned from another trip and caught the smell coming from the camp's chimneys. Lieutenant Kotler let slip a careless remark, and Elsa realized that prisoners were being burned in the crematorium. It smells even worse when they're burning. What? Furious, she lashed out at her husband, but he explained to her that this was a secret project that no one was supposed to know about. From Elsa, he learned that it was the driver, Lieutenant Kotler, who had hinted to her about the crematorium. Ralph's father came to visit. They held a dinner at their house, to which Lieutenant Kotler was also invited. During the conversation, it turns out that at the beginning of the war, his father had fled the country because he did not share the views of the ruling elite. Kotler realized that after this revelation, his career would go downhill. He became angry and took out his rage on Pavel, who had accidentally knocked over his wineglass. Stupid kike! Scum! Kotler dragged him into the next room and beat him brutally. Pavel was never seen in that house again. After witnessing such a scene, Bruno cried for a long time. His sister tried to comfort him. She told the boy that Jews are evil and must be destroyed. However, the boy couldn't believe it, because all the Jews he knew didn't seem like villains at all. Important guests were expected to arrive at Ralph's house. A formal reception was being prepared. Shmuel was brought in to clean the glasses. He and Bruno started talking, and then Bruno offered his friend some cookies. Kotler entered the room, noticed Shmuel eating the cookies and accused him of stealing. But the boy said that Bruno had given them to him, that they were friends. When the enraged Kotler asked Bruno about it, Bruno got scared and said he didn't know that boy. The lieutenant promised to punish the thief severely. Bruno grieved for a long time over his betrayal, but then he watched the film that Ralph showed to his important guests, and he felt better. The film showed the camp where Shmuel lived. All the Jews in the film looked happy. They had plenty of time to rest, visit the library, or go to the cafeteria. The children played cheerfully and laughed a lot. At that moment, Bruno began to feel proud of his father, since he was providing order and safety in that camp. Lieutenant Kotler was sent to the front because he had not reported on his own father. After that, life at home became dull and joyless for Gretel. Bruno, on the other hand, kept running to the camp fence, hoping to see Shmuel. He wanted to apologize to his friend, to explain that he had been scared of Kotler that time, which is why he lied. One day, Shmuel was there at the usual spot. His face still hadn't healed from the beating. Bruno apologized, and they made up. That same day, Ralph received sad news. There had been a bombing, and his mother was killed. Even though she was against the Nazi regime, flowers with a card from the Führer were brought to her coffin. This was the last straw for Elsa. She and Ralph argued for a long time and decided that the children would be better off with their aunt, far away from this place. Gretel is more than happy to leave, but Bruno doesn't want to lose his friend. However, there's nothing to be done, they have to go. Bruno runs to tell Shmuel the news, and Shmuel shares his own news. His father has disappeared somewhere. Bruno promises his friend to help look for him. He wants to dig a hole under the fence to sneak into the camp, and Shmuel promises to bring him a uniform so that no one will notice Bruno. On the day of departure, Bruno makes a sandwich for his friend, grabs a shovel and runs to the fence. But the sandwich falls out of his pants on the way. The boys dig a tunnel. Bruno changes clothes and crawls over to Shmuel. In the camp, he realizes that things are nothing like what was shown in his father's film. The boys can't find Shmuel's father. They go to the barracks to look there. But suddenly the guards take everyone who was in the barracks and lead them to another building. Shmuel and Bruno end up in the crowd as well. Meanwhile, Elsa is already frantically searching for her son. She and Gretel run into the shed, through which he usually slipped out beyond the fence, and see the sandwich. Elsa realizes that the boy has run away. She asks her husband for help. The soldiers break down the door leading beyond the fence and follow the trail. At the camp's fence, they find Bruno's clothes and the tunnel. The boys have already been led into a grim room along with the others. They are forced to undress and told that they are about to take a shower. They were herded into a cramped chamber. Something was poured on them from above, and all exits were sealed. Ralph realized too late where his son was. By the time he reached the gas chamber, everyone inside was already dead.